Hello, everyone. It's Cassandra with Bite Size. In today's episode, we're going to talk about a global pandemic. And we promise it's not COVID. In a recent Gallup survey, it shared that disengaged employees cost the world 8.8 trillion in lost productivity, which is 9% of the global GDP. So today, we have Rajan Seriampalayam to address the cost of employee engagement and how we can bring our teams back into the playing field. Rajan is an agile servant leader with over 30 years of experience lifting teams up through his thoughtful coaching. He has supported teams in a variety of different industries and roles. About 4 years ago, I had the pleasure of meeting Rajan because he was our agile coach, aiding us in our digital transformation on our journey to cloud. I was the subject of his mentorship and I appreciated his patience, and he made our problems way less daunting. So, to start off our interview, Rajan, can you tell us more about yourself?
Thank you for having me here first, Cass. I love the connection we've had so far in the work that we've done together. And about myself, like you introduced, I've been working the corporate world for over 30 years and spanning several industries, whether it's financial services, software technology, cybersecurity, software, hardware, healthcare, transportation, energy, just to name a few. Out of those 30 plus years, over half of them has been in the space of me leading and helping organizations implement transformations in the enterprise, whether they're small or big, more focused on making those organizations more human and adaptable. Today, I lead the agile transformation efforts for a healthcare company as a director. Personally, I'm a dad of two kids. One's 22-year-old and another is 16. I'm a husband of my lovely wife, a traveler, a gardener, a passionate nature and landscape photographer, and a curious person in general.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing. If anything, I now need to get gardening tips from you. So maybe after
I'll
this.
try.
So, in recent years, employee engagement in the US has fallen down to its lowest in more than a decade. So, can you tell us a little bit what's going on and what have you seen?
Yeah, absolutely. What I'm noticing a lot lately is the engagement from an employee standpoint is going low, like you said, from the Gallup poll that you mentioned earlier, partly because a lot of them do not seem to connect very well with the company's purpose. What are they doing? Why are they doing what they're doing? Right? And how does their work that they do individually as a member of a team connect to the bigger purpose of the strategy of the enterprise? So that's one part that's driving the engagement to be lower. Another piece is the lack of recognition for the work or the reward for the work that they do. Not reward in terms of monetary recognition, but how are they being recognized in among their peers, among other people in the team? That's another contributor to low motivation or low engagement. There's also another aspect of what I've seen lately where people are seeking for help with, hey, I want to grow in my career. I don't know what to do, where to go, who to ask for help. So that's another area where there's lack of that meaningful advancement in their careers that they want to grow into. And there's lack of support for that in many areas. Lastly, I'll say there's also a role clarity conflict or confusion. What I mean by that is, especially when we are working in a world where people are more remote than in office, there's not so much of a clear understanding of what is expected from them or by when. Sometimes they're just given a task to do, but they have to figure out what that means for them, how they play into that, what are their contributions, and so on. So those are some of the things that I'm noticing lately.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So, essentially, it's not just one thing, right? It's not just whether it's the purpose, recognition, it's a combination of different factors.
There are
And
lots of other factors. Yeah, I mean, I'm just listing a few, but
Mhm.
we can go on forever talk about all the other factors. But those are some of the big ones that I'm seeing.
So, I guess a question for that to combat it: what is not driving employee engagement, and what should we not be doing?
Yeah, when I think more about it, right? I mean, for example, often teams don't get a sense of what they need to do because sometimes they are being micromanaged. They're told to do what they need to do specifically and in a specific way. But then how are they able to contribute from their creativity standpoint, right? So that micromanagement leads to a lot of negativity at work, and there's not enough flexibility for them. So let's not do so much micromanagement, is what I would argue with. And then let them have some definition of flexibility, meaning what are the boundaries within which they can work, what is important for them as a collective when they are working. Are they working in a team? What is the team setting like? What's accepted norm for the team to work as a collaborative group, and so on. So that's one part of it. But the other one is also to be able to set some realistic expectations, as in, for example, I mentioned about remote work. Now, there are organizations that are forcing employees to come a certain number of days in a week into the office. But if I'm the only one who's coming to the office and the rest of my team is all remote, what's the
Mm.
point, right? I mean, that kind of demotivates me. My morale goes down. I need to commute 3 hours one way to get to the office and 3 hours back home. That's not a good, work-life balance I get personally as an employee. So it starts to eat into my personal side of my life, and that's not, a good place to be. So that's one other thing we want to avoid, not to set those unexpected, unrealistic expectations. Another piece that I also see is feedback from employees. Let's not avoid that. I think employee feedback is a gift rather than something negative, right? So how can we, as leaders, use that as an opportunity for us to see how can we make it easier for them, make it better for them as a team, as an employee. So do not avoid that employee feedback is what I would say. And the last one I would say is don't avoid recognizing good work. Uh, and I talked about employees not having meaningful recognition. So, what does that look like? How does that show up in the workplace? What does it mean for them to be recognized along with their peers or recognized in a larger group setting? That social recognition, I think, is an important aspect that we tend to a lot of times ignore. And that's also something we want to avoid.
No, those are very good points that you shared. So, I mean, as leaders, what can we do instead? You kind of commented on some of the things we shouldn't do and kind of led the way to the other things. But what are some specific things that you have done as a leader to inspire this sort of engagement?
For me, as an employee in a large company, one of the things we do is gather that employee feedback at least twice or thrice a year. And that employee feedback is an important mechanism for me to gauge where I stand as a leader, where my team stands, what are the things that are important for them, what's on their mind, what's working, what's not working for them. That feedback, without attribution to any particular person, when it's collected at an enterprise level and broken down to my own organization, I get to know what's important for my team. What do they value? What is their need? So that gives me an opportunity as a leader to help provide that for them, take action on that feedback. And when I hear that and when I do that, they see that their voice is being heard and that the leaders are paying attention to what they need. So that's one thing I would do. The second one is setting clear expectations about whether their role or their responsibility and tie it to a specific goal or set of goals. If you're working at a more large initiative that is affecting multiple teams in a large enterprise, what is the purpose? What is the vision of where we are headed and why? When people know the why, they're empathetically able to connect to that why, and then they bring all the good work. When they don't know, they're just there for doing what they need to do and they go home, but they're not emotionally invested in that outcome. So to me, that emotional investment in the outcome is an important piece that really helps connect employees. A third piece is focusing on the well being of the employee. When I say well being, providing them opportunities to grow. What does it mean for them to grow in their career? What kind of guidance and help or mentorship will they need? That's something that I really value a lot. And lately, I also see that there is employee resource groups available within large enterprises, right? I mean, affiliations to a certain group helps them have a social aspect within work rather than outside work, so they're able to talk freely without any hindrance about their manager being there. They're able to open up themselves and learn what's available for them, and what kind of support they can get from a affinity group that they have within the organization. So that's another piece. I think that's an important thing that leaders could do. And last but not the least, recognition of good work, right? And when you're recognizing good work in a social setting, in a team setting, in a corporate setting, that's a key ingredient for motivation of employees. They feel that, oh yeah, my work is being recognized in front of a group, in front of my team, or in front of a leader. And when that happens, they feel good internally.
Mhm.
And they're able to have more vested interest in doing good things for the enterprise, for the project, for the initiative that they're part of. And last but not the least, I'll say a call to action for everybody, at least what I see in myself doing, is give them a gift of a healthier yourself as a leader. Meaning, how do I take care of myself? How do I take care of me being in a good situation, being able to make myself self-aware of what is working for me, what is working for my team, and how do I show up for them, right? That is my own work that I do internally with myself. And when I do that, I can show up as a better, healthier leader, and that inspires more joy and fulfillment in their work.
Oh, thank you so much, Rajan. I mean, a lot of those words resonated, especially as you said, even though there's a lot of things that we can do, right? Tie it to our purpose, recognition. At the end of the day, it all starts with ourselves, right? Are we aware of our own actions, how we're showing up? Are we leading by example? And so that's what you
Hmm.
can do, right? It seems like a very big issue, but in the
It
end,
is.
you can just start with yourself.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that's where I feel more connected with people when
Mhm.
I learn about what's working, what's not working, both internally to myself. How am I showing up? How am I paying attention to their needs? How am I listening to their issues and conversations? Not just to problem solve it, but
Mhm.
where are they coming from? And that really puts a good perspective on what I need to do differently, how I need to show up differently, so that I can support them in their journey that they are on.
Okay. Well, thank you, Rajan, so for being part of our episode today and sharing your perspective on this topic. And as always, if you like what you see, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our channels. And be sure to follow us on all the social media platforms. As always, thanks for listening to In Bite Size. Cheers.
Thank you.